Today I want to talk about the difference between a vlogger and someone who works on a Hollywood film set. Now of course there's a million differences between the two, but one of the biggest ones is how many sets of eyes are on the monitor. You see, I'm vlog style right now quite impressively with the Pocket 6K, and it's really heavy, so I'm definitely going to be moving this camera around quite a bit, but it's just me. And it would seem I am out of focus, which ironically is fitting for this video. So right now I am controlling everything. I'm controlling the camera movement, I'm controlling my movement, and I'm the only one staring at the monitor to make sure that I'm in focus, that I'm in frame, and all that good stuff. But see, in Hollywood, that's not the case because there's something called Video Village, which is basically where a bunch of monitors exist for the director, the DP oftentimes, the first AD, first AC, everybody is staring at monitors. And this is for a handful of reasons. One, because movies cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make a lot of the time, and you can't just rely on the person who's looking through the viewfinder of the camera to make sure everything's hunky-dory. You got the script supervisor checking for continuity errors, you got the director making sure that the framing and the emotional whatever that they're trying to portray in the scene, the actors are working nicely, you got the DP who's making sure their, look is coming across. There's a ton of things to look at. And so how exactly on a Hollywood film set do they go from one person behind the camera to everyone being able to see what's on it? In this video, I'll be using a piece of kit from Hollyland-Tech to show you exactly how they do that. So like I said, if the name Hollyland-Tech comes to mind, it's probably because you saw a couple months ago a video on their product, the Mars 300. Now basically this is a HDMI transmitter and receiver that allows you to connect this to your camera and then the receiver to a monitor or TV, and you get a signal. And so when they reached out to me asking if I wanted to check out their new Mars 400S, I was a little hesitant because obviously I was super stoked, like, hey, sweet, you have a new product, that's great, loved your last one, but is there really anything different about this one? I don't really want to make a carbon copy video. And so they sent me over some of the specs and brochures and stuff like that, and as I was going through it, I realized there were basically a couple features that really make this thing different, not only from the Mars 300, but a lot of other products like this on the market. And I actually used this a while back on a short film for a friend where I was first AC, and normally while it's not recommended to take a new product and put it on an important set to test it out, I've had pretty good run with Hollyland-Tech stuff, and so I felt comfortable enough with the system. I tested it out for a couple days prior when I first got it in. It went an entire 2 or 3 day shoot without any hiccups whatsoever. And not only was the latency good enough to where I was literally hiding behind walls in another room pulling focus with this guy while the camera was out running about in other rooms, everyone on set absolutely loved the fact that this thing connected via an app. And that by far is probably the biggest selling point of the Mars 400S, at least in my opinion, is the fact that it not only has the transmitter and the receiver, can go to multiple of them. That's kind of a traditional setup for a wireless transmitter setup. What makes it different is the fact that it has a iOS and Android app that it can pair to up to 4 devices in addition to the receivers to give you up to 5 connections at one time. This instantly became popular when I was on this set because I had told them previously that I would basically have a setup to where we could have the camera, which was a red, hooked up, and then the director could have his director's viewfinder, which was this basically. But little did they know that I ended up using a small HD monitor hooked up with the 400S, and then I basically gave the director my 12-inch iPad, and he had the director's viewfinder. He was super stoked about that. And then the key grip was constantly looking over my shoulder, checking frame, checking what his lighting and rigging was doing to the shot. And I told him, hey, download this app really quick on your phone. All you do is scan the transmitter on the camera. Boom, he was instantly locked in as well. He could pull out his own personal phone, didn't need another monitor from me or setup or anything. Literally just pulled out his phone, booted up the app, and boom, he was locked into the same feed that me, the director, were on. So a couple more people did that. I believe the script supervisor had one as well. It's kind of like a floating one as well as for her. And then the guys doing set design also took one. And so it was really cool to see this near flawless system. Never had issues with connecting. Basically, I showed people how to do it one time, and then and we're back. Same setup, different day. Not really sure what happened to those clips while we were in the middle of talking about the Mars 400S, but let's keep going and get right back into it. By the way, the setup you're looking at here is a work in progress. This is what I'm calling the ultimate Blackmagic Pocket 6K setup. So if you want to see that video, make sure you get subscribed and comment down below that you're interested in seeing that video. But yeah, on the back here, I have the 400S attached via one of these awesome Condor Blue quick release tabs. What I really like about the Switch and all the buttons is that they're super easy to press and interact with, which is very important now that we're getting into winter time, and oftentimes I'm wearing pretty thick winter gloves, and so it's extremely important to be able to use these devices while still having not access to, you know, the most dexterity or whatever with your hands. This is the Mars 300, which shares the same aluminum body as the 400 and 400. I like the hat in my hair. Who cares about continuity when your wife walks by and tells you that the hat looks better backwards? You put it on backwards. You will hear the fan a little bit, so you definitely want to keep your audio equipment as far away from this as possible. It's not insanely loud, but if you were to put a mic right next to it, you probably can pick it up. And then to the top left, you'll have actually 3 options. This is pretty cool. It's basically like quality and latency options. You have 3 different levels. If I press and hold the middle button, which is how we get to the menu, I can change my scene mode to either image, balance, or speed. The image mode will allow for the highest quality video transmission to take effect. So if you know that maybe you're nearby, you're not really worried about the latency issues with the transmitter and receiver being super far apart, then you can go to image mode. Speed mode, of course, is all about, hey, I need this quick. Maybe I'm a focus puller, so it's going to be the lowest latency possible. And balance mode, of course, is a balance of both, where it's going to constantly be adjusting for the lowest latency, but also the best image that it can. On this side here, the 400S adds the SDI port. So if you are working with any sort of professional level cinema camera, you're of course wanting this SDI out. It's gonna be much more reliable connection. It's gonna give you more metadata to look at on the monitors, and just overall, no one's gonna argue that SDI is much better than HDMI when it comes to video signals. But for cameras like mine that aren't SDI, there is of course the HDMI, and then you have a USB Type-C to do any sort of firmware updates and things like that. So obviously it's always nice now that everything's going USB Type-C. Now I am just questioning in my head, can you power it via the USB Type-C via battery? I don't know. I will look that up, and the answer will be right here. Now the only difference, and the thing that I was missing from this, is the fact that because it adds the SDI and the HDMI, and you have both, you lose the looping out function. So on my Mars 300 and the Mars 400, not the S version like this, but the 400 has 2 HDMI ports, and so you basically have one in and one out. So you can go from camera into here and then out to a secondary monitor like on the camera. But I'm super stoked because I actually just got this monitor in, which a review will come shortly. This is like the greatest monitor ever for like 500 bucks. This one has SDI out, so I think I'm saved because I'll basically be able to go from camera to in here, HDMI, nope, that's only SDI. Yep, nope, I have that backwards. So I'll be able to go from the camera, HDMI out, HDMI in the monitor, SDI out of that monitor to SDI in on this, which would transmit the signal and go to my iPad or the receiver with another monitor. So super stoked to test that out. So yeah, the Mars 400S has become a crucial integration into, again, what I'm calling slowly, still work in progress, especially on the lens section of the ultimate Pocket 6K setup ever. So I'm super excited to do this video and show you guys the ins and the outs. but I wanted to at least highlight the new Mars 400S. Thanks again to Hollyland for sending it out my way. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And of course, while you're down there, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe so you can see future videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.